I had a intense year. This morning I sent a text message. I had anxiety. Why is that? I haven't talked about this yet, but
Blake Lively is in full-blown damage control mode, and it's all because of one man.
and no amount of I'm sorry's will ever undo it. Hurt will hurt people.
Justin Baldoni just exposed something Hollywood never wanted you to hear.
I let go of so much, and I gave it to him.
For years, Blake controlled her own narrative, carefully curating the perfect reputation.
I don't like her. She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
The media protected her, Hollywood insiders praised her, and her name was untouchable. But now, that illusion is falling apart. Her closest allies are abandoning her. The media is finally turning on her, and the truth? It's uglier than anyone expected.
I want to eliminate as many barriers.
This isn't just one scandal. It's a pattern of manipulation, career sabotage, and power moves that industry insiders are finally brave enough to speak out about. Her worst nightmare is happening in real time. The lawsuit she thought would solidify her status is now backfiring spectacularly. Her credibility is vanishing, her reputation is in freefall, and the industry that once protected her is now letting her crash. So what did Baldoni reveal that has Blake Lively in complete meltdown mode? And after this, can she even recover? Let's break it all down.
He told us that Justin Baldoni denied those claims of sexual harassment and only tried to appease Blake Lively because she was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat. He had to bend over backwards just to get her to shut up and complete the film.
In Hollywood, silence is a death sentence. For years, Blake had powerful allies who defended her no matter what. When rumors circulated, the media shut them down. When scandals surfaced, Hollywood insiders covered for her. But now, nobody is stepping up to save her. Blake's closest industry connections aren't speaking up. The directors and producers who once praised her endlessly are now avoiding her name. Even Colleen Hoover, the author who once trusted Blake with her book adaptation, has completely erased her from social media. That's not an accident. That's Hollywood distancing itself. When the industry sees a star as a liability instead of an asset, they start making sure they're not associated with them.
I don't have any ego in this work in that sense, because there is room for all of us.
And that's exactly what's happening here. Blake Lively isn't just facing a PR crisis, she's watching in real time as the industry quietly moves on without her.
She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
For months, Blake pushed her version of the story, making herself look like the victim while framing Baldoni as the problem. But Baldoni just flipped the entire narrative, and Hollywood is finally listening. In his latest interview, Baldoni didn't just defend himself, he exposed exactly how Blake tried to manipulate the situation to control the film, the lawsuit, and even the media's coverage of it. He revealed how Blake constantly interfered in the creative process, going behind directors' backs to push her own vision and rewrite scenes to fit her personal agenda. Insiders had already hinted at this behavior, but now it's undeniable. This is why Baldoni's claims are hitting so hard, because they line up with what Hollywood insiders have been whispering about Blake for years. The industry isn't just hearing one side anymore, and the second a celebrity loses control of their own narrative, their career starts to fall apart.
Wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal.
The irony of this entire situation, Blake thought filing a lawsuit would save her career, but instead, it might be the very thing that destroys it. She expected Baldoni to back down, for Hollywood to rally behind her, and for the media to shut down any criticism. But instead, she's now facing a massive $400 million lawsuit that could ruin her financially and professionally. If she loses, her entire career is at risk. It's not just about money, it's about credibility. And right now, she has none left. Even Ryan Reynolds, who has always publicly supported her, is suspiciously quiet. And that silence says everything.
That Justin Baldoni, ultimately, by the time they got to the premiere, was mandated by Blake Lively to spend the night in the basement away from his co-stars and didn't even get to see the final cut of his own movie because Blake Lively insisted that she be the one to approve it until he watched it on the screen with his editors.
If there's one thing that every A-list celebrity fears, it's becoming too much of a risk for Hollywood. And right now, that's exactly where Blake Lively finds herself. For years, she was a guaranteed success. Studios wanted her in their films, Brands wanted her as their spokesperson, and talk shows lined up to have her as a guest. She wasn't just an actress, she was a brand. But the second that brand starts costing Hollywood more than it's worth, the industry moves on without hesitation. And Blake is already seeing the warning signs. Major studios aren't pushing her projects the way they used to. Producers aren't attaching her name to major upcoming films. Even brands that once proudly featured her in campaigns are starting to reconsider. The moment the industry sees someone as replaceable, the decline happens fast. It's not official. Yet, there's no announcement, no headlines declaring that Blake's career is over. But that's exactly how Hollywood works. They don't fire you, they just stop calling. And if she doesn't stop the bleeding soon, she may find herself completely phased out.
And then what happens when your masculinity is in question? You fall into depression, you have anxiety, you feel like you're failing, that you're not showing up to anything as your full authentic self. You compensate. That's when you start to hurt yourself and other people.
One of the biggest reasons Blake is losing control of the situation is because Baldoni's story makes sense. It's not just one person's word against another, it's a narrative that fits with everything Hollywood insiders have been saying for years. For the longest time, Blake had full control over her own image. When controversies came up, they were handled behind the scenes before they ever reached the public. But this time, her usual PR tactics aren't working. Instead of shutting down the backlash, her silence is making things worse. Instead of rallying support, her lack of response is raising more questions. And instead of controlling the media, she's watching as Baldoni's claims gain more and more attention. The biggest mistake she's making? She's acting like this is just another bad headline that will disappear. But Baldoni is actively making sure that doesn't happen. He's not just defending himself, he's pushing his version of events, and Hollywood is listening. The fact that his claims haven't been completely dismissed by the media is proof that there's doubt. And once doubt enters the conversation, that's when careers start to fall apart.
So this is like why I love this lawsuit, because this is an insight to the public that everything you read is BS. They just lie. Like literally, we are just being lied to, right? There's somebody behind the scenes who's being a little psycho. They want to control public thoughts. They want to control public minds. And they are basically like, you're going to read this statement with a gun to your head.
The longer this controversy drags on, the more damage it's doing. Blake's career was built on being Hollywood's ultimate success story. She wasn't just another actress. She was a media darling, a red carpet icon, and an industry favorite. But now, that image is shattering in real time. Studios are quietly moving her further down their priority list. The roles that once seemed guaranteed for her are now going to younger, rising stars who don't come with baggage. Instead of being the first choice, she's becoming an afterthought. Ryan Reynolds, who has always been vocal about supporting her, is suspiciously quiet. And in Hollywood, when even your own husband isn't stepping in to defend you, it means one thing. He sees the writing on the wall. This isn't just a temporary scandal. This is the kind of controversy that defines careers. And right now, Blake is on the wrong side of it.
Well, yeah, that's because that's what you did.
If there's one thing Hollywood does better than anything, it's replacing its stars the second they become too much of a risk. No matter how famous, powerful, or well-connected someone is, the industry always has a backup plan. And right now, it looks like Blake Lively is being quietly replaced. We're already seeing other actresses step into the roles that once belonged to her. The rising stars of Hollywood, names like Sydney Sweeney, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Florence Pugh, are being pushed into the spotlight, while Blake is slowly fading from the conversation. Instead of fighting for her, Hollywood is moving forward without her. The brand deals, the major film projects, the red carpet moments, all of it is shifting away from Blake, and she might not even realize it yet. And by the time she does, it might already be too late.
She says he inappropriately smelled my neck when we were doing a scene. Then you see the scene. They're dancing, they're caressing, they're making out. It's like, but the neck thing was too much when he smelled it? Like, all right. They went into my trailer when I was breastfeeding my baby. You're like, that's disgusting. What's wrong with these people?
For months, Blake has been pretending this situation doesn't exist. She hasn't addressed the backlash, she hasn't tried to clear her name, and she hasn't done anything to take back control of the narrative. And that's exactly why things are spiraling out of control. In Hollywood, silence isn't strength, it's a weakness. When a celebrity ignores a controversy, it doesn't disappear. It grows, spreads, and gets rewritten by everyone else. And right now, the only story people are hearing is Justin Baldoni's. By refusing to fight back, Blake is letting her critics win. Every day she stays silent, she loses more credibility, more support, and more power. And the longer this drags on, the harder it will be for her to ever regain the trust of Hollywood. At this point, her silence is doing more damage than Baldoni's accusations ever could.
And in her complaint, the thing she's bitching about is that this terrible PR campaign that was opened up against her hurt sales of her liquor brand and her hair care products. Oh my God.
Right now, Blake still has one last chance to stop this from turning into a career-ending disaster. But the longer she waits, the smaller that window gets. If she wants to survive in Hollywood, she needs to take control of the narrative immediately. That means acknowledging the controversy instead of ignoring it, showing the industry that she still has value, and making sure the public doesn't fully turn against her. Because if she waits too long, Hollywood will make the decision for her, and once the industry decides to move on, there's no coming back. She needs to act fast, because the worst mistake any celebrity can make is believing they'll always be relevant. We've seen too many stars ignore the warning signs until it was too late to fix their careers. Right now, Blake Lively is at a crossroads. If she doesn't play this right, she might find herself watching from the sidelines as Hollywood moves on without her. So Blake Lively spent years at the top of Hollywood. She was the golden girl, the industry favorite, the actress who could do no wrong. But now, that era might be over. Her allies aren't defending her. The media isn't protecting her. Hollywood is already looking for her replacement. If she doesn't take control of this fast, this controversy won't just be a temporary setback, it could be the moment Hollywood decides to move on without her. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to me, and ring the bell so you will be first to get notified about the newest drama.